Welcome to this second guided project in the Programming for Everyone series. My name is Manohar and I will be the instructor for the projects in this guided project series. Let me begin by briefly describing the 4 guided projects in this series. For those of you who have already completed guided project 1, this will be a repetition, so please bear with me. In the first guided project in this series, Programming Foundations, we learned the building blocks of a software program using the R programming language. In this second guided project, we will use those foundations to build a fun web app. We will create an app that displays locations of our favorite restaurants in our favorite city. The app will display restaurants only in a single city. In the third guided project in this series, Working with Data, we will enhance the app to display restaurants from multiple cities. And in the fourth guided project in this series, Styling Our Web App, we will learn about HTML and CSS, and we will use that knowledge to style our web app to make it look a bit more aesthetic. To successfully complete this project, you will need R programming skills. In case you are new to R programming, I recommend that you first complete the Programming Foundations course, which will give you the required background to create an app in this project. Now let me show you the apps that we will create in this guided project series, beginning with the app that we will create in the second guided project. Now some of this will be a repetition for those who have already completed guided project 1. Here's the app that we will create by the end of the second guided project. This app displays the locations of restaurants in San Antonio, Texas. Your app will display restaurants in your favorite city. These blue markers indicate the locations of the restaurants, and this is the name of the restaurant. And if I click on the marker, it brings up a pop-up. The pop-up has the address and the phone number of the restaurant. The pop-up is a bit simple. Now we will enhance this app in the third guided project. Notice that there is a drop down here. This enables us to display restaurants from multiple cities. If I click on this drop down, it brings up a list of cities. If I select the second city, Mombasa, it gives me restaurants in Mombasa. And if I click on this marker, I still get a plain pop-up with the address and phone number of the restaurant. We will further enhance this app in the fourth guided project. This app will also have a drop-down. However, the marker will be different. If I click on the marker here, notice that the pop-up is much nicer. It has the name of the restaurant, and the name of the restaurant is styled as a link. If I click on it, it brings up the website of the restaurant. You can use an app like this to plan your next get-together. Now let's switch to RStudio Cloud, where I'll show you how to create a basic web app. Let me switch the view mode so you get your workspace back. And we go to RStudio Cloud. And here we'll create a project by clicking on New Project, and we'll call it Sample Web App. Now we will create a basic app just to understand the structure of an app. And for this app, we will just display a simple plot on the web page. So the project has been created. Notice we have these two files as before. Let's create a new file to hold our code, and we'll do it like this: file, new file, R script. And RStudio Cloud created a file for us. Let's save it and give it a name, and we'll call it app.r. And this is very important. We need to call it like this, app.r, and then we save it. Notice a file app.r has been created. Let's add some code to this file. I have typed in the code. In this task, I will just show you the different components of the app. In the next task, I will explain how these components work together. The first instruction is this library Shiny. We're telling R that we will use a Shiny package. Recall that in the first guided project, I had mentioned that packages are used to share functions with other developers. And we will talk a bit more about this in the next task. After having done that, we define what we want in the UI. And we will just create a plot for this basic web app. Next, we define a function named server, and this function is used to create what we want to display in the UI. So in this case, the server function will create the plot that we want to display. Finally, we have this function called Shiny app, and we pass it two arguments, UI and server. That's all we need. Let me create some space here. So as you can see, we needed about 20 lines to write this basic app. Now, RStudio Cloud recognized that we need to install the Shiny package, so it's prompting us for it. We can do that by clicking install here, but I'll show you a different method, so I'll close this. We will use the tools menu. We will select the install packages option. And here in the dialog box that pops up, I'll type Shiny. Notice this install dependencies. When we install the Shiny package, it requires some other packages, and we're telling it it's okay to install them. So we'll keep it selected. Now let's press install. And this will take a little while, so let's give it some time. We'll notice some action in the console soon. The installation is now done. On successful installation, you will see this message, installing binary package Shiny, done Shiny. So we're now ready to execute our app, to run our app. Now, if you recollect, in the first guided project, we had a button called Run here. This time we have a button called Run App. That's because RStudio Cloud recognized that this is a web app. Now, to execute the web app, there are different modes. We can run it in a window that pops up. We can run it in the viewer pane, or we can run external. If we select Run External, it'll run the app in a browser tab. So let's do that. So let me select Run External. Having selected that, now let me click on Run App. And it brings up this app in a browser tab. It's a plot that we've seen before. And we have only one plot because that's all we said we wanted. So let me stop this. And let me just summarize what we have in this app. So a basic app has a UI definition, a server function written out, and then a function called Shiny app with two arguments, UI and server. And we also install packages if we need them. In this case, we definitely need the Shiny package. So in this task, we've got introduced to the guided project. We saw what we will create by the end of this guided project, and we saw the basic structure of a web app. In the next task, I'll explain these different components and how they work together.